A new diplomatic push to restart negotiations on a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Eric and Lyle Menendez have been recommended for resentencing more than 35 years after killing their parents in a move that could be the first step towards their release. A warning from the UN: cut carbon emissions or be on track to miss global warming limits by a catastrophic margin.
A new report suggests countries are far from reaching global climate targets. That's according to the United Nations Environmental Programme. A global warming limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels was set in 2015 to ward off catastrophic effects of climate change. But the UN now warns world temperatures are on course to rise by 3.1 degrees above pre-industrial levels this century, twice that target set a decade ago. The warning comes just weeks before world leaders gather in Azerbaijan for the International Climate Summit COP29. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer is under pressure on the issue of slavery reparations at a Commonwealth summit in Samoa.
The slave trade, slave practice was abhorrent, and it's very important that we start from that place, and of course that matters hugely to many of the countries that are represented here.
Our headlines today. The King has urged Commonwealth countries to commit to learning the lessons of the past. But Prime Minister Keir Starmer rejects calls to pay reparations for slavery.
Prosecutors say the two Menendez brothers, who were jailed nearly 30 years ago for murdering their parents in one of the US's first televised trials, should be released.
Warnings over children's Halloween costumes bought online, many are failing basic fire safety tests.
Good morning. What does it take to make an award-winning railway station? I come to the winner of the World Cup of Stations. You may have a clue where it is from the departure board, but I'll reveal exactly which it is a little later this morning.
The High Court will rule today on whether the government's climate adaptation plan was lawful. It's after a disability rights activist who lost his home to coastal erosion says the plans are insufficient and breach his human rights. If campaigners are successful, the government may be forced to develop a new plan. There's less than a week until Halloween, and parents are being warned that some fancy dress costumes could pose a serious risk to children.
Campaigners have found that many outfits are failing basic fire safety tests and have urged people to check labels before buying clothing. Now, staff at London Zoo are appealing for help from the public to locate two endangered parrots who've escaped from their enclosure.
OK, so, wow, they're handsome. It's not the first time the two blue-throated macaws, you can tell why they're called those, Lily and Margot are their names. It's not the first time they've made a break for it. Their keepers say they've previously taken detours. They've hidden high up in trees. They've never completely gone missing until now. And so the zoo has asked for any sightings to be reported to them with a photo and information about where you've spotted them. I mean, you're not going to miss them if you see them.
No, they're not going to be mistaken as for a regular bird that you see normally, are they?
No, it's not a pigeon, is it?
They're nothing like a pigeon, is it, Sarah? Nothing like a pigeon.
I tell you what, as the leaves start to fall off the trees as well, if they're out there hiding in some trees,
they've got nowhere to hide. Yes, absolutely.
Nowhere to hide. The leaves are gone, that's it.
Time to have a look through some of the front pages for you this morning. Times newspaper, let's begin there. Reeves risks hurting pensioners. That's their headline. Former Work and Pension Secretary Lord Blunkett expresses concern over reports the Chancellor plans to impose national insurance on employers' pension contributions in next week's budget.
The Guardian says the government is reconsidering plans to include a ban on smoking outdoors in its upcoming tobacco and vapes bill. This comes after opposition from the hospitality trade. The Sun's reporting that one of the UK's nuclear submarines ran so low on food during a 6-month patrol that sailors were ordered to share rations. The paper says medics feared a serious loss of life due to fatigue and concentration lapses caused by hunger.
And the Metro focuses on shoplifting as cases in England and Wales are now at their highest level since records began, costing shops £1.8 billion every year. It says thieves are becoming bolder and more aggressive.
With just days to go until the budget, one London borough is calling on the government to prioritise funding for councils that already have development projects ready to go. Hounslow says it's the first borough in the capital to launch its own local growth plan, which it claims could generate £30 billion by 2050. It focuses on building more homes in places like Feltham.
I think the budget is going to be very, very tricky, probably the trickiest in my lifetime, trying to balance the things that local authorities need, that people need, and ensuring that the national finance is balanced. But what I'm hoping to see is a bit of that directed funding, looking at local authorities who are ready to go, like Hounslow.
More than 320,000 households in London are currently waiting for social housing, according to the think tank Centre for London. The research also found families are waiting an average of just over 5 years for larger properties, including 3-bedroom homes, and that there has been a decline every year for the last decade in affordable housing stock. Lewisham in South London has been rated as #1 for parks in the capital. The aim of the award is to promote good practice, raise standards and help protect park budgets and resources so green spaces can thrive in the future.
Tonight at 6, one of the world's most prolific online child abusers is jailed for life after one of his victims took her own life. Kimmeron Thomas was just 12 when she died after being blackmailed by Alexander McCartney. Police say McCartney posed as a young girl on the messaging site Snapchat to target thousands of children. The BBC uncovers evidence of how people traffickers store dinghies in Germany for migrants to cross the English Channel. After Grenfell, questions about the safety of another type of flammable cladding being used to build flats in Britain.
I plan on continuing until the wheels come off.
And also, Bruce Springsteen talks to us about touring at the age of 75.
Former President Trump gets ready for a sit-down with podcaster Joe Rogan, and Kamala Harris hangs out with Beyoncé. We ask whether candidates and celebrities make a big difference when they come together on the campaign trail. And I talk exclusively to Italian pop sensation Laura Pausini, who with over 70 million records sold worldwide, a Grammy and an Oscar nomination, is one of the most successful Italian artists of all time. Around the world and across the UK, this is The World Today on BBC News. Let's stay with the United States. In the last few minutes, President Biden has formally apologised to Native Americans for a 150-year-old policy of boarding schools which assimilated Indigenous children into white American culture. Speaking at a Native Indian community in Arizona, he described the policy as a sin on our souls. It was seen as one of America's darkest chapters, and Mr. Biden said it was something he should have done a long time ago. Now, under the policy, Alaska Native American Indians and Native Hawaiian children were forcibly removed from their homes and their families and stripped of all their heritage.
After 150 years, the United States government eventually stopped the program. But the federal government has never formally apologized for what happened until today. I formally apologize as President of the United States of America for what we did. I formally apologize. And it's long overdue. The tribal school in Arizona, a community full of tradition and culture, and joined by survivors and descendants to do just that. Apologize, rewrite the history book correctly.
Here in the UK, a man who stabbed an asylum seeker in the chest has been found guilty of attempted murder. Leicester Crown Court heard that Callum Parslow, who has Adolf Hitler's signature tattooed on his arm, attacked 25-year-old Nahom Hagos at a hotel in Worcestershire.
With the autumn budget looming, we're in Hounslow hearing what people and politicians there would like.
What I really want to see out of this budget is to lay the seed for increasing consumer confidence.
More should be done for our younger generation, as they are the future of our workforce.
Also on the programme this evening.
I'm in Soho, where some businesses are hopeful about a potential road to pedestrianisation ahead. But in such a diverse area, not everyone is in step.
Thames Water secures a £3 billion loan to keep it afloat. Plus, from an opera singing police officer to a clarinet playing paramedic, we meet the Blue Light Orchestra. The Mayor has halved the amount of money he's asking from the government to fund major transport projects compared to last year. Sadiq Khan requested a minimum of £569 million from the Tory government in 2023 to fund upgrades. He's now said it would be a win to receive anything more than £250 million. Critics say he's watering down exaggerated financial demands. Hundreds of truckles of cheddar worth more than £300,000 have been stolen from London's cheese specialist Neal's Yard Dairy. Fraudsters posing as legitimate wholesalers received the cheeses from the company before it realised they were a fake firm. Well, Neal's Yard has said it still had to pay the producers of the cheese, so individual dairies would not have to bear the costs, but it is now trying to deal with the financial setback. A mural by Turner Prize nominee Claudette Johnson has been unveiled at Brixton Underground Station. Three Women is the artist's first public work. It follows a series of works there by other artists as part of Transport for London's Art on the Underground programme.